Hi, I'm Maggie Harding with the Swirlydoos Kit Club, and today I'm going to show you how to make a simple flower that looks complicated. We're going to use the Scissors Alterations die Tattered Florals, and we're also going to use the Mini Tattered Florals die. You're going to need to cut 2 large flowers and 2 small ones. Now, if you don't have the small Tattered Florals die, you can always use the small flower that's on the main die. That'll work just fine. All you need to do is take your scissors and cut a little ways into the small flower. That makes it so that the petals are a little bit easier to manipulate. Okay, you're also going to need some stamen, and you can get those at most any hobby store. Michael's or Hobby Lobby carries them, I think. If you don't have stamen, I'll show you something else that you can use. And if you have a crocodile, you'll probably want to use that too. Okay, let's get started. First thing we're going to do is add a little color to our petals. You can either use a mist, or as I'm using, a little dabber top, or you can use just plain water. Dampen the petals, don't get them soaking, and then just start scrunching up the edges. Just push in from the outsides into the center for each petal. Another way of scrunching your petals is to wrap them around the end of a paintbrush. I don't use that method just because it doesn't work that well for me, but it certainly does make a nice scrunched flower. Now put the petal inside your tweezers, hold the petal and just twist. Just roll your wrist and give it a twist. That's all there is to it, nothing really fancy. I don't do fancy. This is my basic flower and this is what I do. Okay, set those to the side. Now let's take the 2 smaller ones, add a little color, and scrunch them up. Works better if you apply a little color to both sides, and then I like to rub them around on my mat and pick up any excess color. Now scrunch the edges on each flower, just like we did on the big ones. Again, take your tweezers and give each petal a twist. Just roll your wrist and twist, that's all there is to it. Okay, time to dry the flowers. Here's my tip for the day. Put your petals in a small box to keep them from blowing away while you're drying them. Now take a paintbrush with a narrow handle and curl the ends of each petal on both of your flowers. Curl them under. And after you've done that, then you're just going to dry them. Okay, now it's time to assemble. Take the 2 larger blooms. Use a fast drying glue. I like to use hot glue, but you can use anything you like. Stack 1 petal on top of the other. Make sure you alternate the petals. And then take your smaller ones and glue those on top of the bigger ones. Again, being sure that you alternate your petals. Lift the petals up a bit. Now take a marker and mark the center of the flowers so that when you punch it, you can actually see the center. You might need to double punch so that the hole's just a little bit bigger. Now take about 5 stamen, bend them in half, and poke them through the hole in the flower. Then I usually just use a little hot glue on the back side, and then I just press it down onto my craft mat and let it dry for just a second. Okay, now take some clear drying glue. I'm using Ranger Glossy Accents. You can use any glue that dries clear. Dab a little bit of glue all around the stamen. If you have a tray, it's helpful. Otherwise, use a box or a sheet of paper. Sprinkle the Prima beads that came in the kit over the glue and shake the excess back into the tray and then pour it back into the bottle. Okay, now take some white paint or gesso. Either one's fine. I'm using gesso because it's just what I happen to have on hand. Then using a stiff bristled paintbrush, you want to dab a little paint all around the edges of your flower. You don't want to have too much paint on your paintbrush so you can rub some of the excess off on a scrap piece of paper. Just dabble a little bit all along each of the edges. No particular method, just hit all your petals and just lightly brush on a little paint all over. Okay, you want to make sure that the paint is dry, and after it's dry, take some clear drying glue and spread all along the edges of each petal. I'm using Ranger Glossy Accents again. Now take your flower and place it in a tray or a box somewhere where you can contain your excess, and sprinkle diamond dust all over the flower. You can get diamond dust at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, I think, or any of your large online stores. Put the excess back in the jar, and that's all there is to it. Just let it set it aside and let it dry. And there you've got a beautiful flower. It's really very simple. We've dressed it up with beads and glass. Thanks for watching.